But I also want to ask our social question today. I really do want to hear from you about this story. This is a story involving a judge, a Crown Court judge called Judge Rupert Lowe, and he spoke out after basically about overprotective modern parenting. He says that it's turning children into snowflakes. This after a father breached a restraining order by his ex-wife by refusing to let his children walk 100 metres to their home. Basically, this is Kevin Reynolds. He's got 2 kids aged 8 and 9. He's returning them to his ex, the mother, and he drove within 30 metres of her house, but he's actually got a restraining order. They think it's a very bad divorce. He's only allowed to go within 100 metres, but he said he felt it was unsafe for them to walk those 70 metres of actually on their own without him seeing the kids to the door, worried that apparently he worried that he wouldn't get access to the kids again if something happened to them. Yeah. And so there were issues there. So I think, in a way, his example is not the best example in the world. And it depends, I mean, it doesn't say what time of day it was. I mean, if you were dropping them off at 9 at night, then I think that's different from 9 in the morning, etc., etc. How busy a road is it? Was it in the middle of nowhere? Was it a busy high street, etc.? But in principle, the judge is saying, look, modern parenting is turning children into snowflakes. He said they have to learn to live a life. He said back in 1971, 80% of children walked to school. By last year, it was just 25%. And he says we're not doing children any good, and we wonder why everyone is complaining about anxiety and depression. He's right on the money, isn't he, this judge?
He absolutely is. I think there is an awful lot of mollycoddling of young people. We need to put people into the world who are resilient, who have something about them, that if something goes wrong, they don't panic.
Yes.
And I speak as a mother of a 15-year-old boy who I had to allow to walk to school because he wanted to in the last year of primary.
Were you not scared the first time? Because I was.
Of course I was. I was absolutely petrified.
I was just standing outside the door going, oh.
I walked him to the main road and I saw him across the road because I didn't, trust him to look both ways, and I didn't trust the cars to slow down. But you have to be able to back off.
Yeah.
And I look at my parents who were quite happy that I was roaming around the countryside with no mobile telephone because we didn't have them.
No one knew where we were. I lived in inner city Birmingham when I was very young, and we walked to school. My brother and I, again, it was a gang of kids who walked to school from the street, obviously, aged 6 and 7. Yeah. And no one would have thought you were bad. My parents were bad parents because a 6 and a 7-year-old were walking to school.
Well, this is it. And you were all obviously in with other kids, and there were younger kids, older kids, and you were groups together. And I used to spend all my time around the stables. So I was off out riding miles and miles of countryside with a friend. And my parents would see me at the end of the day.
I mean, certainly I remember summer holidays, you were thrown out of the house by 9. Don't come back again.
Come back when the street lights come on.
Yes, exactly. Don't come back till 6. We don't want to see you. We don't want to know where you are. Here's a cheese sandwich. Try not to die.
Exactly.
And I always say to my daughter, when she was young, and I'd leave in the supermarket queue, and I think, oh, I've forgotten something. And I'd leave her with the basket and just say, try not to get abducted. And and the looks of horror on the other shoppers' faces. It's like, I'm thinking, I mean, I'm guessing one of you is going to say something if some dirty man in a raincoat grabs her.
I mean, it is quite amazing, isn't it? I mean, my child would just say, my mother's left me. Yeah. And he would stand there and he would make that kind of comment. But he was able to do it. He had the confidence and he knew precisely that I'd nipped across the road.
Yeah, but it's like, but then you see these parents who, you turn up, to their children's university interviews and do everything for them, and then they wonder why their children can't cope.